Good afternoon, everybody. Fletch here with another Fletch Talk live stream. I hope you're all doing well on this Friday afternoon. We are, of course, talking the big breaking news today regarding Liverpool and their pursuit of Alexander Isak. The big news today breaks from David Ornstein, who claims that Liverpool have had a bid rejected by Newcastle United. Things have seemingly moved on. The report last night from David O.C. Kopp on Twitter, I think I might be pronouncing his name wrong there, but yes, they are the letters in his name, at least on Twitter, reported that Liverpool were lining up a 60 million upfront bid for Alexander Isak, with 60 million to be paid next year, and plus a few add-ons seemingly on the cards as well if they are hit. Today, the news is that an initial bid has been rejected. Things are moving on this, people. Hopefully, fingers crossed, things do turn out the way that is good for Liverpool, and that Alexander Isak is going to be on his way to Liverpool at some stage during this transfer window. It's what Liverpool want. It's what he wants, but it's about Newcastle. How difficult are they going to play this? And is it going to be intentionally difficult on their part to how they play this? We'll get onto that a little bit later because, you know, I do feel like there is an element of this story which might be slightly going a little under the radar as far as what this story is concerned. But I hope we're all doing well, people. I hope you're all good out there. Thank you for joining me on this Friday afternoon. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Really do appreciate each and every single one of you being here. And as a couple of you are doing right now, hit up the chat, people. Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling. What do you think of Liverpool's opening bid? What do you think about the rejection? What do you think of it from a Liverpool perspective, a Newcastle perspective, a rival perspective? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about any of this stuff or anything else that you want to talk about in the world of football. Anything else you want to talk about in the world of football in the chat. Bush Baptist, hope you're doing well, my bro. Welcome along, and good to have you back with us. He says, wow, that's all I can say about this. I was 10 when Barnes, Beardsley and Dalglish were in their prime. But this is like fantasy football happening in real life. Best buys for any team ever. Unreal. It would be. It will probably be the most perfect transfer window you could possibly imagine. Like, we were told we were going to get a big transfer window as Liverpool fans. You know, everybody that was anybody to do with Liverpool came out and said, expect a big transfer window. And if we do get Isak, I mean, it's already been big anyway, but if we do get Isak, it's going to be the biggest transfer window, bigger than what we were even imagining going into the summer, the biggest of the big. So a fantastic transfer window so far. Luca Talks Dons is in the building. Welcome along, my bro. Hope you're doing well. Big up to you, my friend. Hope you are good. Go and subscribe to Luca Talks Dons, by the way. He's an Arsenal fan, but he also talks MK Dons as well. And, of course, MK Dons are kicking off their League 2 campaign, I believe, this weekend. Premier League is on the verge of returning, people, but there are other leagues that are kicking off over the next couple of weeks or so as the football season is going to once again begin a new chapter. Good luck to your MK Dons side for the rest of the season. Obviously, I'm from Nottingham, so I've kind of got a little bit of an affiliation with Notts County. So I'd be leaning more towards County than yourselves, but still, good luck to you, my friend. Good luck. Liverpool want 150. I feel like that's kind of the benchmark. I feel like that's kind of where Newcastle want, and I do feel like it's going to be about structure more than anything. I think Liverpool are prepared to go 150, but it's going to be about structure. It's going to be about what kind of structure Liverpool are willing to negotiate with Newcastle. Is it going to, if what David C. Kopp said is true, then maybe Newcastle want a bit more money up front than 60 million, and then maybe another installment later on, and then maybe the add-ons need to be a little bit more realistic or a little bit greater. But I do feel like 150 is around about the mark that I would suspect this deal suspect will get a deal done. I do feel like that is kind of the ballpark area. Newcastle want 150. Yeah, I mean, like I say, about structure. It's about Newcastle side of this as well, which we will get onto a little later. But absolutely, it's going to be a lot of money, but it's going to be, in my opinion, money well spent if we can get this deal done, dusted, and over the finish line. Yeah, mate, anytime. As I say, I love to support fellow channels, regardless of whether you're a rival, regardless of what you're talking about. I love to support fellow channels. I'll always give a shout out to those that, in my opinion, deserve it, and you are definitely one of them. And continue to support anybody that is making good content and is doing some good stuff. And you are certainly one of them people, my friends. So good to have you with us as well today. Hit me up with some Arsenal chat as well, by the way. Like, what are your expectations with the Eze saga? Do you think that's going to be done and dusted? Is he going to game change Arsenal for the better? I know it was a poor result yesterday, and it didn't sound like it was the best of performances as well from Arsenal in the North London derby. Where are you at? In Hong Kong? Is it Hong Kong? I want to say it's Hong Kong, but I could be miles away. But yeah, hit me up with some Arsenal chat, my friend. I'm intrigued to know what the expectations are for Eze and maybe the rest of your transfer window. The first bid was always going to be rejected. There's no way Newcastle are going to accept 120 million when they know that they can get 130. Yeah, when you put it like that, it makes it sound like, what was the point of even bidding that much to begin with? I don't know. It's strange. I don't know whether we're just testing the waters or what. But yeah, when you put it like that, it makes it sound like we're stupid. Big up LFC fan. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I'm good. Hope you are good, my bro. Welcome along with us. How you can reject that amount of money? Newcastle don't have a striker right now, so they're gonna want to take us. They're gonna want to rinse every penny out of us. Look, he's still got some contract left for him. We shall see. We shall see. Newcastle don't need money. They need good players on the bench, and the board knows it. They already have money. They are a football club, not a bank. Big up to you, Marco. Welcome along, my bro. Lovely to have you back with us on this Friday afternoon. It's not necessarily about money. Newcastle have plenty of money. It's about them managing to find a way to be able to use that money in a way that FFP and PSR aren't constantly nagging at them and biting at their heels, kind of thing. And a big sale in Isak would definitely help them steer clear of that. Some may say that they don't have to sell, but at the same time, they're struggling right now. They are so struggling to sign players. And here's the element of the story that I briefly mentioned earlier that I don't think enough people are considering. Newcastle are a bunch of idiots. This whole transfer window for Newcastle has been ran so awkwardly and so poorly that they can't even secure a signing properly. Great, they've got Anthony Elanga. Fantastic. I think he's a bit overrated, and I think he would work in a particular system. I don't necessarily think it will work as effectively at Newcastle that it will at Nottingham Forest, but it's still an okay signing. But it was a simple and easy signing to somewhat make. Then They get rejected by Brian Mbeumo, Mateus Cunha, João Pedro, Hugo Ekitike, James Trafford. 5 players at the very least that have rejected Newcastle this summer. 5 players. And 2 of them went to Manchester United, who have no European football of any description for this upcoming season. They can't get a single signing across the finish line, which is why, as Liverpool fans, we have to hope, pray, put our hands together and pray to the footballing gods that be, that they eventually get their shit together to be able to sign a striker. Because they've only got one striker, Alexander Isak, and we want to take him. And he's got 3 years left on his deal. Now, if he had a release clause, this would be so much simpler than him not having one. But he doesn't. So this is going to be made even more difficult because Newcastle don't want to sell him until they at least have one replacement. Signed, sealed, and delivered. One replacement at the very least. But Newcastle have proven so far this summer that signing players and getting those players in the door at St. James's Park is proving tricky for them because everybody's rejecting them. And when they do seemingly have a deal, they can't tie it up fast enough. Which is why we have to hope and pray that they get a Benjamin Sesko. We have to hope and pray that they go for a Johan Visser, a Jean-Philippe Mateta, whoever it's going to be, as long as it's a striker. We've got to hope that that's the case. I mean, we have a striker that they can have. Why not, again, test the waters, just offer them Darwin Núñez? Why not just offer them Núñez? Either that, or we have to actually go out there, buy the striker for them, loan them to them for the season with an obligation to buy at the end of the campaign. That's the element of this story that I think a lot of people are somewhat overlooking in this situation. That it's not necessarily a case of Liverpool are going to get rejected by Isak. Isak wants to move to Liverpool. Isak's only option this summer is seemingly a move to... It's not going to be... If this move does fall through, it's not going to be on the part of Alexander Isak rejecting us. It's not going to be, well, unless something seismic does change in this transfer window, say, I don't know, a big injury happens or a big injection of cash to a major player in the game that wants Isak, like a Barcelona or something, or Real Madrid for whatever reason, or I don't know, maybe there's a big injury to, I don't know, maybe say a Gyökeres. Hopefully that doesn't happen, of course, but let's just say, for argument's sake, Gyökeres does, and then Arsenal decide to go all out for Isak somehow, some way, whatever. I'm just throwing it out there as just hypothetical possibilities. Unless that happens, Isak's not going to reject Liverpool. It's basically going to be Newcastle playing hardball. And the only reason they're playing hardball is because they've got no replacement for Isak. So until they get a replacement for Isak, they're going to be rejecting Liverpool's approaches until either Isak kicks up enough of a fuss that they go, you know what, I'm washing my hands of this, you're gone. Or Liverpool make Newcastle an offer they simply cannot refuse. The problem here is not Liverpool. The problem here is not Isak. The problem is Newcastle can't get a signing through the door. They have got no sporting director. Their infrastructure is seemingly from the outside looking in so awkward, imbalanced, and just poorly run right now. I'm surprised for a group and an organisation that has been so efficient or prides itself on being so efficient as a business that they are being this poorly run. This transfer window was set to be the moment that Newcastle kicked on after what was an incredible season, winning the Carabao Cup, getting Champions League football. This was meant to be the exciting and opportunistic transfer window in which Newcastle continue to build. They add strength to their starting 11, they add depth to their squad, and they go on to become major players in the Premier League. Not necessarily contenders just yet, but they go on to be major players in terms of solidifying themselves as a top 4, top 5 team in the Premier League, securing Champions League football season in, season out, and going on to be a major player in winning silverware, or at least challenging for major silverware. And it's all fallen apart for them. It has all fallen apart for them. And they don't even seem to know what to do next. They're looking around like, who's doing this transfer business? Are you signing? Are you securing the signing of? Are you doing this? Are we trying to sell this guy? They seemingly don't know what they're doing. They've just bought Anthony Alanga from Forest, and then they've gone, we need a goalkeeper. Aaron Ramsdale, who is solid enough as a goalkeeper, but he's not exactly top quality, top class, world class, setting the world alight. It's not exactly enticing an Alexander Isak to sign a new deal or to stay at Newcastle, is it? This was the tweet from David Ornstein that broke the news this morning. Says that Newcastle reject official bid from Liverpool and Alexander Isak initial approach. Informal, now firm Liverpool offer and turned down. Newcastle suggested new deal with 2026 release clause, and senior teammates pushed 25-year-old to stay, but he wants the move. That is from the mouth, the words, the fingers, the brain of David Ornstein on X. Then we go to what was followed up by from Fabrizio Romano, who states Liverpool's opening bid for Alexander Isak was worth £120 million, package plus add-ons. Newcastle rejected, as they won't open doors at least until finding a replacement, and it's not guaranteed at this stage. Isak insists with Newcastle on his clear desire to join Liverpool. So it's exactly as I said. It's not on Isak. It's not on Liverpool. This is on the incompetence of Newcastle, which could be a good and a bad thing for Newcastle. The good news is that they'll keep Isak. Fantastic. Great. The bad news is that you're going to probably keep an unhappy player. And next year, when his contract runs down to another year down, 2 years then left on his current contract, the price that you could possibly get this transfer window will decrease because people will know that he still wants out of the club. Teams will wait even more so, and the negotiating position of Newcastle becomes weaker. And rather than take the money and reinvest it in other areas of the squad, you will instead get a cut price deal at the very least. And from there, you may not have as much. And by then, anyway, you may not have Champions League football next season with the way that things are going right now at Newcastle. I wouldn't say that you are favourites to get that again. There's no guarantee that 5th place will get you Champions League football. You may not have it next season, so that weakens your position even further. You won't be able to have the money to, go out there and spend as fluently and as sporadically as you'd like. Keeping players is going to be difficult. You may face more issues in terms of, maybe it's not just Isak that wants to leave next year. Maybe your Guimaraes, your Tonales, they may want to leave next season. Your Anthony Gordons, for example, Sven Botman. Those kinds of players may want to leave next season with what is happening right now. Newcastle's position in this could be so much better. And I'm just saying I think the best possible thing for Newcastle is just it'll just be so much better if they just cut ties with him, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Liverpool fan that wants to obviously see Isak go to Liverpool. I'm saying that because, as I've said all summer, I think it is probably the best thing for Newcastle to do in this situation. You're facing a losing battle with Isak as it is. You may as well take the money and reinvest it in other areas. We know you've still got 70 million to spend because you were planning on spending that money on Ekitike. So if you've still got that money, that could still secure you the majority, at least, of Benjamin Sesko. That could probably secure you a Johan Visser. It could probably secure you a Jean-Philippe Mateta. That money is going to be fine. But you add more money on top of that, you can invest it elsewhere. You can invest it in a new centre-back. You can invest it in beefing up that striker option. You can invest it in maybe a new fullback, which if Man City get their way and they get Livramento, who's another big player, by the way, who's threatening to leave Newcastle, you may need to improve upon. So there is definitely a lot there to consider when it comes to this situation, this saga from developing. Don't need money. I personally disagree with you. If you don't have money, can you get a good player? So, like I say, there's FFP and PSR things as well that's going on that we are not quite fully in the clear of. Or at least we don't fully know the full understanding of it. But yeah, I agree with you there, dude. If you're Sesko, can you pick Newcastle over Man United? Immediately, you can, because Champions League. Overall, both are a bit of a gamble. Are Newcastle going to remain there? Are Man United going to come back to the forefront? It's an interesting one. But like you say, Mateus Cunha picked United over Newcastle. Brian Mbeumo has picked Man United over Newcastle. So it's depends on who it is, I guess. I don't know. It's an interesting one, but I would imagine there are some players out there that would choose Newcastle over Man United, same way that some would choose the other way around. People keep saying that Newcastle is the richest club in the world. They are, but they don't have the facilities yet to splash that cash. Obviously, like I say, they are still a little bit hamstrung with PSR and FFP stuff. Until they start making the revenue and the income and all that stuff, they can't spend it as fluently as they like, which is why Liverpool have been able to, because we've sold well, we've achieved a lot, we grew our business, and we've secured other deals from elsewhere. Same way that obviously City grew, but City's PSR stuff didn't come in until much later on, so they were able to get away with it a little bit. I pray that they get Sesko. Me too, man. Me too. Not even just Sesko, just anybody that's a striker. Anybody that's a striker, and then that way we can fully pull the trigger on this. If probably go to Newcastle if I was Sesko. I think he'd be okay either United or maybe not necessarily Newcastle. I think he'd be better at United than he would at Newcastle. I think United with Mbeumo and Cunha, I think there's less pressure there to sort of hit the ground running because, let's face it, you're taking over from a Rasmus Højlund up front and the bar's set ridiculously low as it is. But if you've got two players that score roughly about 15 to 20 goals a season behind you that can chip in, there's less pressure on you to hit the ground running. If you're going to Newcastle to fill in the shoes of Alexander Isak, you're kind of expected to hit that 15 to 20 goal a season mark right off the bat. And I don't personally rate Sesko to be a world beater. I think he's somewhat overrated, and I think his potential and his promise that people talk about is somewhat overrated as well. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm not saying he's abysmal, even though I may have said that when talking about him potentially going to Liverpool and Arsenal, but that's a completely different conversation of him going to a club that is ready for the here and now rather than project teams like United, or both United, should I say, in Newcastle and Manchester. But I do think Sesko will be better at Man United than Newcastle. But like I say, in saying all of that, it seems that Newcastle won't sell until they get a striker. So I agree with you. I do hope that Sesko does go to Newcastle, just so it speeds this up a lot more than what it is doing. Miles Lewis-Skelly is so reckless, usually gets red or makes a big mistake, and fans put it down to him being inexperienced, but not sure he is ready for the first team playing like that. I do think Arsenal fans gas him up a little bit more than they should. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm not saying he's appalling. I do think he's a little overrated, but I will say that from what I've heard and from what a lot of Arsenal fans tell me is that he's not a natural left back. Obviously, he is 18. That should still be considered, regardless of whether you think the inexperienced argument should not be factored into it or not. He is inexperienced. He's broke through on a senior level. He's been consistent for Arsenal. Of course, he's going to be a little rough around the edges and a little rash, but that's to be expected of him, I think. So I do think he's a little overrated. I will agree with you there, but I think for the type of player he is and for what he's done at Arsenal, I think he's had a solid start. This season, though, is going to be the big one. This season is going to be a sink or swim. Was that just because not a lot of people knew about him? Was this just a year in which he got away with it a little bit? Our team's going to start targeting him a bit more. This is going to be the season making or breaking of Miles Lewis-Skelly. And it's going to be interesting as well because there's no guarantee he's going to be the starting left back still. There's still a couple of options on that left-hand side for Arsenal. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Miles Lewis-Skelly will remain as the starting left back for Arsenal or not. But yeah, we shall see. Miles is overrated. Somewhat agree. Big up to F, who's in the building. Welcome along, my bro. Hope you're doing well. Domino effect of players leaving for pastures new because the club has failed of recruiting in such a pivotal moment for them. Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to know what Alan Shearer thinks about this, considering his thoughts on a certain Trent Alexander-Arnold not so long ago. But yeah, I agree. I don't understand how a consortium and a group that is leading Newcastle from the top has managed to let the club get in a bit of disarray like this. Normally, it's like a well-oiled machine, or it's at least efficient enough. This is not efficiency. What we are seeing now from Newcastle is a bit of panic and chaos, because I don't think you were expecting Isak to have this change of heart, so to speak, which is so weird, because if you didn't expect it, what kind of delusions were you believing? Because with all due respect, you are still Newcastle. You are still in this project. You are still working your way up. And you have a striker there that could easily fit in with any team from top to bottom in any league around the world. And you think, it's all right. We've still got him. We're fine. We're moving on. It's strange to me. It's very, very strange to me that that you'd think like that, to be honest. It's very strange to me that overall there would be a belief there that you'd keep him, you'd be keeping him, and the club would be fine with it. And especially with how your summer's gone as well. Like I say, Isak's probably looking around and going, we've been rejected by at least 5 players. There has been 5 players at the very least that have rejected us this summer in this transfer window. And the best that we could do was bring in Anthony Elanga. He's probably looking around like, well, how is that progressing for the future? How is that building on what we've done this season? How is that moving towards our goal of being a top contender for Premier League honours? It's not. With all due respect, it's not. And so he's probably looking at it like, I'm 25, I'm going to be 26 soon, I'm entering into the prime of my career, I want major honours, I want major silverware, I don't think this is the club for me. And then there's this whole story about how he's training at Real Sociedad right now. He's training away from Newcastle, trying to, build up his fitness from his injury. If that injury was genuine, which I highly doubt. And then Newcastle deny the stories. It's chaotic. It really is chaotic. And Newcastle aren't controlling this. And Newcastle are in a losing battle here. And like I said, the only way that Newcastle can come out of this, at least looking or at least feeling somewhat good about what's happened, is by taking a large amount of money from this. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be perfect. But at the same time, it's certainly something that Newcastle need to look at and feel like this is a genuine move. It's a genuine move that must happen. And the reason why it must happen is for the benefit of the team. It's the benefit of the club. Rather than it be for purely selfish reasons, it is purely for the benefit of Newcastle United as a club, as an institution. It will be a horrific sacrifice, and it will sting most certainly for the immediate future. But for the long term, it could benefit Newcastle. Maybe not immediately, like I say, but long-term wise, it could certainly benefit. Niche fan, hope you're doing well, my dude. Welcome along. I think the Saudis might sell Newcastle and buy us instead. That way, the best players could be at the best club in the world, as they used to be at Man United forever. If the Saudis really wanted you that much, they would have bought you when they had the opportunity to. Don't think the Saudis are going to do that right now, with all due respect. But it does seem like they are growing a little bit tired and impatient at Newcastle. I do agree, which is a shame because, like I say, there's a big opportunity with Newcastle there. There is a monumental opportunity there with Newcastle. But it does look like they are getting a bit impatient and a bit bored up on Tyneside, just waiting around, waiting for things to transpire and happen. But they've kind of gone too far down a rabbit hole now. And it's going to be interesting to see what the ownership model is going to do, because, like I say, there seems to be a lot of stuff that is going wrong in-house at Newcastle right now. There's a lot of infrastructure problems. And they just need to obviously sort everything out. And time is running out, because obviously we're 2 weeks away from the beginning of the season. We are a month away from the transfer window closing, and yet they've got nothing sorted out. They don't have a striker. Are they really going to go into the opening game of the season, which I believe is against Aston Villa, if I'm not mistaken? I believe it's Newcastle Villa. I want to say it's Newcastle Villa. I could be wrong. I think it is Newcastle Villa opening game of the season. Are they really going to go into that game with no striker? Because if they do, they're playing catch-up right off the bat. They are playing catch-up right off the bat. Attack of Mbeumo, Sesko, Cunha is actually half decent. I agree. Like, I'm not Sesko's biggest fan, but I think ahead of Mbeumo and Cunha as a bit of a target man, as someone that Mbeumo and Cunha can sort of play off. I do actually think it's a decent front three, and I hate saying that because, of course, it's United. But I do kind of agree. It's sort of, in my head, it works. It works with obviously having two Premier League proven players and a project player in Sesko who has certain qualities and attributes that could benefit both Cunha and Mbeumo even more so. F says, I do find the narrative shift funny. When Madrid goes in for a player, it's given that the player will end up there due to the stature of Real Madrid. The same comparison can be made between Liverpool and Newcastle. No one bats an eyelid when it's Madrid. No one bats an eyelid, and it's very rare that Madrid don't get what they want. That's just the nature of being the biggest club on the planet. Unfortunately for Madrid. And in this situation, it's seemingly a given. And the only reason why it's a given is because Isak wants Liverpool. When a player, and it's not just this situation, but any situation in which the player has basically stated that he wants to move and he wants to choose a specific club, 9 times out of 10, that move does materialize. That move does materialize 9 times out of 10. And as I've said all summer long, there's no smoke without fire. And Liverpool's interest has been strong and genuine throughout. And it would never have got to this stage if Liverpool didn't initially think that this move was possible. Simple as that. I said it weeks ago, before Isak even seemingly stated that he wants to leave Newcastle or was considering his options. I said it before then that Isak does want to move away from Newcastle, because Liverpool would not be going this hard in the paint with this move if they didn't think it was possible. Liverpool like to mess around with the idea, but as soon as they realise, oh, there's no chance of this happening, let's look elsewhere. Because that's what they did with Bellingham. That's what they did with Tchouaméni. That's what they did with Caicedo to a certain extent. That is what they did with Enzo Fernandez. That's what they did with any of the other players that rival fans have literally laughed and mocked us for missing out on. That is the story. They rejected us, and as soon as we did, turned our attention away. We didn't try and force it, didn't try and convince them, didn't try and just lay the money down on the table or whatever. We messed up. And in this situation, there's a clear pathway. There is no signs of us messing this up right now. The only thing that is stopping us is is clearly just Newcastle United messing this up for us. Intentionally or not intentionally, either way, it's working in Newcastle's favour to keep Isak right now because they cannot get a deal done. And I'm not trying to scaremonger. I do think that this deal will eventually go ahead one way or another. Someday within the next month or so of this transfer window being open, I am pretty much stating right now that it is my belief this deal does get done. But it's going to drag because Newcastle are useless right now. Big up AR. How you doing? Well, my bro. Lovely to have you along with us. Newcastle definitely got themselves in a pickle. They now risk having their best player unhappy and us losing him for less later. Their best option is to sell now, but will mean they look bad. But they're already going to look bad anyway, regardless. Because, as I mentioned earlier, Isak's not the only big name player to either want to leave or to be considering leaving. Livramento could be on his way to Manchester City. And if you're seeing two big players leave, what's that going to do to Sandro Tonali? What's that going to do to Anthony Gordon? What's that going to do to Bruno Guimaraes? Even some of the youngsters, Lewis Miley, Lewis Hall. What's that going to do to those players? It's going to go, right, well, if they're jumping ship, what are the club going to do to respond? And then you're looking around going, well, we've been rejected by several players already this summer. So it's not through lack of trying, but there's just something about the club that is not enticing them to go there ahead of other clubs. And when one of those clubs is Manchester United, with all big and due respect to Manchester United, there's something wrong. There is something wrong, and it's not going, and it's not looking good for the club overall. And like I say, the knock-on effect to this is much, much worse than just them losing Isak. It could mean they lose so many more players, so much more investment opportunities and sponsorships and things of that nature that could really help the club progress and advance and grow even bigger than what they are right now. There's so much there that they are potentially missing out on here that one way or another, it's going to end badly for Newcastle. But it's about how far down the line it will look bad for Newcastle. Did they just go for the quick and it's like ripping off a plaster? Did they go for the quick and painful just and just get it out of the way and done with? Or did they go a little bit at a time? And if they go a little bit at a time and drag it out, it's going to be a lot more painful than just going whoosh. I hope I'm getting some people on this, by the way. I hope people are understanding what I'm trying to say. Because I do understand I ramble, and I do understand that sometimes I may not make the most sense. So if I don't, just call me out on it and just pinpoint what you'd like me to explain even more, and I'll try and make myself clearer than what I am actually doing. I don't know. I try anyway. I try and make sense. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hit the like button if you're in the stream. Big up to everybody that's here. Welcome along. Lovely to have you with us on this Friday afternoon. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new, of course. That both of those things will be greatly appreciated. And hit up the chat. Really enjoying this so far. Really enjoyable stream. And he says, exactly, they can't keep the best players at Newcastle. No offense to Newcastle. I love the place and the people. But what's the point in them owning Newcastle when they can have everything with us? With all due respect, bro, like I say, if they wanted Man United, they would have got Man United when the opportunity arose. Don't think they're going to be going to Newcastle. I don't think they're going to... I don't think they're going to be going Man United. I don't know how long they're going to be sticking out with this Newcastle project, but they are seemingly growing tired. But I think on some level, they will obviously maintain their positioning. The biggest investment opportunities are actually Tottenham and Liverpool. If you're a mega rich oil baron, billionaire, millionaire, trillionaire, the best investment opportunities right now in the Premier League are Tottenham and Liverpool. Tottenham and Liverpool. So much room for growth and investment in both of those clubs. Tottenham especially have all the infrastructure and everything going for them right now. Like, the only problem with them is that they are shackled by Daniel Levy and, his penny pinching techniques. And although there is investment this summer, it's not exactly Daniel Levy's money, is it? Which is why they were able to go and get Mohamed Kudus. It's why they were able to put 60 million on the table for Morgan Gibbs-White, even if obviously that didn't materialise. And they've actually made a decent signing in loaning João Palhinha. I will be making a video on João Palhinha later on, so do stick around for that, because I think it's actually a very good move by Spurs, in all honesty, to sign the Bayern Munich midfielder. Man United is bigger than Madrid. I'm sorry, bro. It's simply not true. Man United is big, 100%. And there is an argument to suggest that you are still the biggest club in England, not necessarily on trophies and silverware anymore, but in terms of your overall growth and your fan bases around the world and things of that nature. You're still massive and you're still huge, but Real Madrid is just global on a different level, just immense. Just absolutely immense. So, unfortunately, I think you're wrong. Newcastle is trying to mess around and taking its time. We need to firm and want our man. Look, Isak needs to be match fit and ready for the season. We're serious about this, and I want to win some silverware. I still think it will happen, bro. I still think it will happen, but you are right. The longer that this plays out, the more kind of catch up to pre-season that Isak's going to have to play. Luckily, we do have Ekatike in our ranks now, so he can sort of fill in for Isak whilst his match fitness does build up across the season. The problem, like I say, the problem with Newcastle is that they're not willing to sell unless they get a replacement. Is their business down to them being inept? Or is it down to players just genuinely not wanting to play for Newcastle? Maybe it's a mixture of column A and a bit of column B. Maybe they are struggling to keep Isak, but going, we'll sell you as soon as we get a replacement. Oh, look at that. We didn't get the replacement. Looks like you're going to have to stay. That would be stupid on their part if that was the case. It would be stupid on their part if that was the case. Because not only are you missing out on a lot of money, but you're going to be keeping a player that's going to be clearly unhappy. And unless you can somehow, some way, turn him around to being like, yeah, actually, you know what? Newcastle's not bad. I want to stay here for the rest of my career. Unlikely. But it's, crazy. Absolutely crazy. We got to get Isak and Gay in here at Liverpool. We need Prem-proven and hit the ground running players. We want to win trophies and be serious. That would be perfect. I think the most that we make is 3 signings between now and the end of the season. I think the least we make is 2. I think we make, at the very least, 2 more signings between now and the end of the season. I think 3 at most. And I think Isak and Gay are going to be the 2. I think they are going to be the 2. I think we're waiting on Palace to get in the replacement for Gay, which they are either very close to doing or have done. I'm not sure which way round it is. But if that is the case, I think eventually, yeah, we will be getting both of them. I'm pretty sure. I've been sure on Gahey for a long time. Been very sure on Gahey for a long time. So I do think that really is. Oh, just a quick one, by the way. What do we think about the new Liverpool kits, by the way? Liverpool fans in the chat, what do we think about the new Liverpool kits, by the way? I think they're clean, man. I think they are clean. Interested to know what you guys are thinking and which one are you going to get this season. I don't know. I haven't bought a Liverpool shirt in a while, so I don't know whether I will or not, but I am certainly tempted. I'm certainly tempted to actually, especially after the summer we've had, I feel like they're justified for my custom. Makes you sound like a right prick when I say that, but yeah, I do like the kits. I did like the kit launch. I think they look clean. Apparently, Florian Wirtz has already sold like over 50,000 shirts in the first few hours alone. And what do we think about player names as well? I had this debate about a week or two ago. What do we think of player names on the shirt? Is it yes? No? Depends on age? Just throwing a few questions out there for you based on the kit launch. Big up my guy. Big up Ozana's in the building. Hope you're doing well, bro. Lovely to have you along with us. Thoughts on the new three stripes? Funny we should say that. I like it. I like it, man. It's I say I'm tempted. I'm very much tempted. I don't know. Expensive, yes. Potentially worth it though. I like it. It's not Liverpool's problem, and Newcastle doesn't have much players in the transfer market. They only have Alanga, Saudi money, and UCL football. Like I say, it's definitely not. This is purely on Newcastle and their inability to bring in a replacement for Isak. Like, Isak wants the move. Liverpool want Isak. That's fine. A deal is already said to be in place between the player and the club. So now it's just about agreeing on a fee. And Newcastle's problem is that they just seemingly can't get a player through the door to replace him. That's simply it. We want Isak and we want to win. We're serious and ruthless now to win trophies. We want our gunman Isak. Like I say, man, him playing ahead of Salah, Wirtz, McAllister, Frimpong, Kirkez, Gakpo, Soboslai, Gravenberch. The guy is going to feast. He is going to feast on chances. And I'm just saying this right now. If we get Isak, he's winning the Golden Boot. I'm just saying that right now. He's winning the Golden Boot. Just throwing that out there. Tottenham and Liverpool, not in a million years. We can build the best stadium in the world and have the biggest fan base in the world. Yeah, but it's like playing a game of Monopoly and going to the dark blue. I can't remember what the ones are. I've not played Monopoly in ages. Like going to the most expensive properties in Monopoly and just putting a hotel on there. It's like, okay, great. But if you go to Tottenham and Liverpool, like, Liverpool would never like knock down Anfield. They just continue to renovate it every so often. Like, but Tottenham already have the new stadium. Tottenham already have a lot of room for PSR with the right investment because they don't spend any money, or they haven't for a number of years. They also are in the capital as well. They're in London. There's a massive opportunity there for Spurs and a big opportunity there for Liverpool as well, with us overtaking, shall we say, United in England and potentially going on to like rival a Real Madrid, Barcelona, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's an interesting one, but I don't really care about that stuff. I just more care about what's happening on the pitch, to be honest. New kits are cold. Yes, I agree. New kits are cold. Adidas absolutely smashed it. 100%. I agree with you. I am tempted to buy one. I'm looking at it like, stop looking at me like that, because I really, really want one. So in a few weeks' time, if you see me wearing the new Liverpool shirt, you'll know that I caved in. Just bought the Home Authentic shirt, short sleeve. Nice. Rate that. How much did that set you back? But it was a pretty penny, wasn't it? We need to offload Tsimikas, Ramsey, Williams, Morton, Elliott, Doak, Chiesa, and Nunes. Easier said than done, my friend. Easier said than done. I would imagine they're all going to go, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be permanent sales. I think it's going to be loan. Tsimikas might be permanent. Ramsey might be a loan with like an option to buy or something. Maybe goes back to Scotland. Williams will probably go to like a championship club. Morton will probably go to either a championship club or a club that is going to be at the bottom half of the table, like a Burnley or something. Elliott. You know what? Tottenham. We know you've got 60 million because we know that you were prepared to spend 60 million on Morgan Gibbs-White. Why don't you go for Harvey Elliott? 50 mil. 50 million. Pay up. Pay up, Spurs. I think he'd do wonders for your club. I think he would genuinely do wonders for Spurs. I think he'd do wonders for the majority of Premier League clubs, to be honest. But yes, we know you've got 60 million to spend. So why don't you give that to us? New home kit looks good. Absolutely. I agree. I so agree. I really, really, really am tempted. I'm really tempted. Stop tempting me. Stop tempting me. Kirkes will wear number 6. Yeah, Kirkes 6. Wirtz is 7. Frimpong's 30. I think. I can't remember what else is. Hugo's 22. Yeah, Hugo's 22. Yeah. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Like I say, the number 9 shirt might become available soon. It's thrown out there. It's thrown out there. I caved in like John W. Henry and dropped 120 quid for some short, for some white red nylon. Oh dear. I'm so tempted. I am so tempted. So tempted. It looks good. It looks so good. I don't know, man. It just looks so clean. Like the white, the red, it just all looks so freaking clean. And I want it. I think I have issues. Just having a look through, see what the latest is from the Isak stuff. Liverpool rejected 120 million bid. Newcastle not willing to entertain offers until they sign a suitable replacement. Liverpool are planning another official bid to Newcastle for Alexander Isak. I don't get why these. I don't know why these negotiations take time. Why we have to do things by the day. We can't just simply go. We want him for 120 million. No. Okay. We'll put in 125 million. Okay. I don't know why it takes so long. It's strange. Just loving the salt from rival fans as well. It's amazing. How can Liverpool do this? Why are Liverpool doing this? You know, the same fans that have been laughing at us for a number of years for not acting like a big club in transfer windows, for missing out on targets, seemingly having no pull and no money. All of a sudden, we are doing exactly what they wanted us to, and they can't take it. Can't take it. I'm interested to know from Newcastle fans as well what they make about this whole situation. We've had a lot of obviously. That's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. We've had obviously a lot of talk from Liverpool fans. We've obviously heard a lot about Liverpool and their pursuit of Alexander Isak. I'm interested to know from the Newcastle fans' perspective, if they're only listening and watching, well, what do you make about all of this? What are you making on all of this saga and situation? Because are you angry at Isak or are you angry at your own club? That's what I want to know. I want to know who you are more angry at in this situation. And not only that as well, but let's say that your club does play hardball and you do keep Isak. Is there a way back for Isak? Is this just a way of saying you're going to rot in the team? You're gonna respect and uphold your contract? What's the overall angle for you here? Because as we've mentioned, it doesn't seem like there's much of a win in this situation for Newcastle. Whichever way this ends, whether it be you keep him or you sell him, there doesn't seem to be much of a win for Newcastle, even if the money is going to be very, very good that you do get at the end of this if you do decide to sell him. But what's the kind of end goal for you, and where are your thoughts at with this? Are you maybe happy to wash your hands of the situation and move on? Are you sort of questioning your club as to what your next move is? Why you haven't been able to acquire the kind of targets that you've set out for this summer? Why you've not been able to build on what you've done these past couple of years? What's the feeling with Newcastle? I'm interested to know, because getting angry at Liverpool in this situation seems to be a bit pointless, in my opinion. I can understand you getting annoyed at Isak with the way that he's kind of maybe handled the situation a little bit in terms of waiting until basically the middle of the summer to then go, oh, by the way, I kind of want to leave now. And I can kind of understand why you'd be angry at the club for what has been a transfer window in which there's been a lot of optimism going into it, but ultimately very little has been delivered upon. So very intrigued to know what you guys think about it from a Newcastle perspective. Marco asks, any Darwin update? I saw some things going around that the deal for Darwin Núñez seems to have gone a bit quiet. but there could be sorry, well, it was another update there from someone, but not quite. I don't know. There just seems to be a bit of a cooling off bit with Darwin Núñez. And the latest seems to be that it could be some sort of loan move that could transpire for Núñez throughout this summer. Now, about a week or so ago, I said that, in my opinion, that's probably where this deal is going to end up, because I've seen this play out a few times where a saga drags on and on and on and on and on and on. And then in the end, rather than a permanent move, it's a loan with an option / obligation to buy. And that's what I said would happen with Darwin Núñez. And that seems to be what could be transpiring right now. The stuff on Núñez has gone a bit quiet. Saudi clubs are seemingly put off by Liverpool's asking price, which is crazy to think that even the Saudis have a limit in which they are prepared to go. But that seems to be the possible case there. Napoli have obviously dropped out the race, it seems. AC Milan were rumoured to be interested at one point, but links have seemingly cooled there. So I think it is going to be a loan move for Núñez that does materialise at some point, with an option or obligation to buy at the end of it. Not ideal, not the best for Liverpool. But if the money's right, if the financials are there, and depending on how much of his wages we can get to the buying club to pay for, it could really work out in our favour. So it's not necessarily terrible. It's not necessarily the worst decision or the worst outcome on this Darwin Núñez saga. But I did call it. If this does materialise, I did call it. I'm not being like, yes, I did it, me. I said it. But I did somewhat predict that this would happen, because I've seen this situation happen a fair few times. Lukaku's the one that always springs to mind with me. Chelsea wanted to get rid of him. They couldn't get rid of him permanently initially, so they set up a loan move with an option to buy, or an obligation to buy, should I say. And eventually they did move him on, but they didn't move him on permanently until a year or so later. Match day 2, Newcastle versus Liverpool at St James's Park will be spicy, hostile, and intense atmosphere. If we get our man Isak, he is match fit, mentality, physically ready, and he is our gunman. You know how last season Arne Slot constantly mentioned Nottingham Forest in pretty much every press conference he was in, pre-match, post-match, whatever. After Forest beat Liverpool, ended their opportunity to go the season unbeaten, and obviously put a bit of a blemish, shall we say, on Arne Slot's initial record at Liverpool to kick things off on his Liverpool career. It was something that we laughed at. It was something that we somewhat admired. We admired the perfectionism. Is perfectionism a word? To hell with it. I just made it a word if it's not. We admired the perfection aspect of Arne Slot's mentality. But we also saw the pettiness of it. We also saw the pettiness of that perfection aspect of the side of Arne Slot. Wouldn't it be absolutely wonderful if Liverpool get the deal done He can't play in the first game because we didn't register him in time. But we managed to get the win over Bournemouth anyway. His debut is against Newcastle. Match day 2, as AR says. And just to really rub salt in those Newcastle wounds, to all the Newcastle fans that were out there saying, we could get Ekitike and Isak and play them up front together. Wouldn't it be just marvellous if Liverpool were to do that against Newcastle, match day 2, and Isak scores the winner? We win 2-1, Ekitike scores 1, Isak scores the winner, right in front of the Newcastle fans. That would be poetry. Beautiful, beautiful poetry. It's just amusing me thinking about it. I like it. Ozan says, I foresee a here we go on Monday, Fletch. They can't keep a player that wants to join the Mighty Reds. I mean, they can. Not to sound like Mick McCarthy or anything, but they can. He's got 3 years left on his contract. He doesn't have to move anywhere. And I think it would be incredibly stupid of them to do that. It would be very much short-sightedness on their part to do it. But there's no real obligation for Newcastle to sell him. There isn't. As much as I want to say there is, and as much as I want this to obviously happen and materialise, he has 3 years left on his contract. He doesn't have to go anywhere. Newcastle can play serious hardball on this. And plus, I hope it doesn't happen on Monday, because I'm not going to be here Monday. I kind of like it to happen when I have the time to go live. I'm not going to be here Monday. I'm going away for a few days with the family. I don't know why I said that. But anyway, yeah, I'm going away for a few days, so I won't be here Monday. So I hope it's not Monday. Do it on Wednesday when I'm back. Do it on Wednesday when I'm back. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Pick a day. Just pick a day from there. Pick a day. Any day. But fingers crossed. Let's go on a holiday to Ibiza. Let's go. Yeah, I'm going to Ibiza to party up with Arnie Slot. No, it's somewhere less glamorous. It's somewhere down south. Somewhere down south. It's less glamorous. But still going to be a very welcome few days away. Nonetheless, getting prepared for the new season. It's going to be fantastic. New season's 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away to the beginning of the new season. And Liverpool kick it off as well. Friday night. Can't wait. Alan Shearer, 50 million, and we are potentially buying Alexander Isak. Is mental, and how time has changed. Time has changed. There's inflation. There's other things to consider. I don't even know how much the inflation would be on Alan Shearer right now. But yeah. Football has definitely changed, and money has definitely helped in that aspect. Ah, wonderful. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Let's just check again. Anything new? Why has someone just retweeted that? Someone said, aside Michael Ballack, no German player has ever succeeded in the Premier League. I saw that a few weeks ago, and I was like, okay, so Jens Lehmann was like, what, Swedish? And friggin' Ilkay Gundogan was what? Polish? Like, what are we doing here? Nothing right now. Nothing right now. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Right. I think we're going to call it there, guys. Really do appreciate each and every single one of you being here with us this afternoon. Slightly shorter stream, a little bit more so than usual, but got things to do. And people to see. Should be interesting. But yes, do keep your eye on anything and everything to do with Liverpool Football Club. Follow the top tiers. Follow. I can't believe I'm even going to say this, but follow Indicalia. Jesus Christ, I never thought I'd ever be saying that, but for whatever reason, this guy is turned up, absolutely firing on all cylinders this summer. Paul Joyce, Dave Seacarp, and of course the usual likes of Romano and Ornstein. Charity Shield, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Premier League, Bournemouth, Newcastle United, Arsenal, Burnley, and Everton. We need to break low block teams in the Prem and go toe-to-toe technically with teams in UCL now. I think we can. I mean, breaking down low blocks, now that we have Florian Wirtz especially, is going to be... I'm not going to say we're going to be perfect at that, but we are going to be finding it a little bit more easier, or at least we should. Not only that as well, but when we actually do break down low blocks, we'll actually have players in the attacking positions to actually score them goals rather than rely on Darwin Núñez, who, flip of a coin, whether he'll actually put it into the back of the net or whether he'll put it into Rosetta or not. But yeah, so we've got that going for us right now. And technically, I think we are getting there. I still think our midfield, on a technically gifted wise, we could still do a little bit more, maybe. But maybe that's going to be something that we may look for next summer. Maybe we go into that summer, we look for, regenerating our midfield, that kind of thing. But we've got another year to go. Big up, Kenny. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you along with us. If Isak plays in a Liverpool shirt on match day 2, Joelinton will hammer him into the ground. Well, we'll see about that. We shall see about that. He'll have to get near him first. I just brought the home kit with discount. Home, nice. I'm tempted to get the home shirt. I'm very much tempted to get the home shirt, so we shall see. Indicalia over Fabrizio Ornstein. I don't get what the hell's going on this summer. I don't know how to react to Liverpool doing a madness like this, and I certainly don't know how to react to Indicalia being a reliable outlet for Liverpool news. I don't know how to react to any of this right now. It's bizarre. Indicalia. I never thought I'd be saying him in the same bracket as top tier journalists, but here we are. What a crazy world we live in. Said you had 0 chance. Oh. Yeah. Well, money talks as always. Absolutely true. Things change. People sometimes get things right. People sometimes get things wrong. It happens. Long as we all own up to it. We're all good. And there's still no guarantee that we do get him. But for those that were saying we had 0 chance, there was always a chance. Sorry to say, but there was always a chance. Like I say, it's about knowing how your club or other clubs operate. And like I say, with Liverpool, there was always a chance that Isak was going to move, because if there wasn't, we would have ended the Isak discussions a long time ago. a long time ago, we would have ended these discussions. But they kept on going on and on and on because Isak did want to move. Liverpool knew that, and that's why we are here today, where a bid has been rejected for Isak. Wear your home shirt on holiday, Busdale. We'll see. We shall see. I genuinely think Isak is going Saudi now. I think they will offer him £1 million a week. He's already rejected them, bro. He's already rejected them. And they were offering stupid amounts of money. And not only that as well, but, you know, I'm sure Newcastle would probably want to sell to a Saudi club because Saudi owners. Couldn't Newcastle just attempt to do that? I mean, obviously the player would have to want to go to Saudi initially anyway, but couldn't they just sell like several of their players? Do they have a multi-club ownership? Newcastle's owners, do they own all the clubs in Saudi? Can't they just do what Chelsea have done, which is basically just sell them to themselves? Can't they do what like the Nottingham Forest owner did, which was just sell players to Nottingham Forest from Olympiacos? I don't know. I don't know if they own anyone else. They might not, to be fair. I don't know. I don't know for sure. Might need to look into it a bit more. Or did they close that loophole? No, my memory is shocked. My memory is so bad. Yeah, my memory is so messed up. Oh well, we move. But yeah, I'm not going to say he's going to Saudi. I'm not convinced of the Saudi stuff. I think he wants to stay in Europe. I think he wants to fight for the big trophies. I think he wants to stay. He's not going to win the Ballon d'Or in this era. There are too many other better contenders. I mean, if he has one good season in which he absolutely smashes it, and let's face it, he's going to have a good opportunity to score plenty of goals at Liverpool. Who knows? With the team that we've got, the chances are is that he's going to be successful. With the team we've got, the chances are is that he's going to score a lot of goals. He may not win the Ballon d'Or, and you may be right, because there are certainly other players that are going to be strong contenders. But, again, it's not impossible. Not impossible. Unlikely, but not impossible. Surely Isak wants the Champions League and Premier League in his CV when he calls time. Yeah, exactly. There's been talk already that he would want to stay in, maybe not the Premier League necessarily, but he does want to stay in Europe. And for right now, Liverpool is pretty much his only option, because Arsenal have just signed Gyökeres. Man City have got Haaland. Barcelona have got financial issues in which they probably cannot facilitate a move for Isak. Real Madrid have obviously got Mbappe. Bayern have got Kane. There's nowhere else for him to go other than Liverpool. You could argue maybe Chelsea, and he'd be obviously an upgrade on all of the Chelsea strikers that they've brought in this summer. But money-wise, I think it might be wiser for Chelsea to invest in other areas. If they hadn't have signed João Pedro and they hadn't have signed Liam Delap, then maybe you could argue that they could have gone in more for Isak. But with the timing of everything, it's perfectly set up for Liverpool to now go and make this move a reality. Not the Saudi Pro League trophy with Al Nassr, Al Hilal, and Al Ittihad. Yeah, it's like I say, he wants to stay in Europe, man. He wants to stay in Europe. He is so not bothered about Saudi. He wants to stay in Europe. He wants to compete for the major honours, and Maybe he's got ambitions of Ballon d'Or. Who knows? Love your hair, by the way. Stop it, you. Stop it. No, it's just a mess. I like it. It's just a mess. It just does what it. I just do this, and it does whatever it wants to do. It's just a mess. I go to Saudi at the end of the day. Money is everything. So, well, depends what your mentality is, and I don't know. I think I've had this discussion before. I don't knock any footballer whose mentality or drive is money. If your incentive is money in football, absolutely 100% go for it. Like, I'm not knocking it, but some like to go for trophies. Some want to win things. Some want to win individual awards. Some want to win team awards. Whatever your ambition is, I don't knock it. Go for whatever you desire. Go for whatever floats your boat and whatever makes you happy in not just life, but if you're a footballer, go for it. Because there are some out there that would absolutely love a move to Saudi because the money aspect is going to be absolutely phenomenal and it will set you and your next several generations up for life. Because unless you really, really mess up some way, somehow, that money is going to be there. But at the same time, certain footballers are happy with what they've got, and certain footballers are not. You know, every footballer, I guess, to an extent, or the vast majority of them at least, are overpaid. In my opinion, like the amount of money that they're on is ridiculous. But at the same time, some are just happy with what they have and are happy to constantly go out there on the pitch and try and make themselves better, try and put themselves in conversations to be some of the best players of all time, try and put themselves in a position where they are winning trophies and creating moments and creating these memories of winning trophies. It's about producing generational wealth for your children. What about the ones that don't have children? Some don't. No, I'm taking. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it depends what your motivation is. It depends what your incentive is. Like I say, is it going to be money? Is it going to be trophies? Is it about where you are in terms of location? It's an interesting one. There's no doubt about it. There's an interesting there's an interesting side that every footballer is different, and everybody has their own motivations. Everybody has their own beliefs, and you know, some people may not want to play in Saudi for ethical, moral reasons. Some may not want to play there because it's too much of a drastic lifestyle and culture change. Some people may say that they may get homesick. Maybe it's too far away from home, or you know, some may just not want to play there because, like I say, they may have other ambitions elsewhere. It's an intriguing story, and not only that as well, but for the past few years, you've seen a number of players go over to Saudi only to come back. Now, again, is that about money, and is that like a whole thing of, well, I'll take 6 months' worth or a year's worth of pay, that'll do me, and I can come back over and resume my footballing career like that. It's interesting, but it's safe to say I think the Saudi project hasn't quite progressed as much as they would have liked. It has obviously got bigger, and to be fair, it was only ever going to get bigger because of it. But I don't necessarily think it's progressed to a point that they would prefer it to be right now. I think they would have liked it to have been much bigger, much better, and much more advertising than what it currently is. Right. I'm going to call it there. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for listening, and for getting involved. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Both things will always have to be greatly appreciated. And if you are one of them people that already has done so far this stream, then big up to each and every single one of you. Really do appreciate you being here. Really appreciate everybody watching. If you were contributing, that's big as well. Oh, hang on a moment. Let me see. Big news from Dave O'Seacop again. He says exclusive. Liverpool now willing to pay Newcastle up to 80 million up front, with 50 million next year and 10 million in add-ons, and preparing new bid. Total of 140 million, but more appealing structure. Second bid could be with Newcastle as early as today. So Liverpool are really looking to get things moving on this. Really looking to get things moving on this, and we were going to go, but Dave O'Seacop just put this out on his feed. If we will just bring this up, there we go. This one. There we go. There we are. There we are, people. From Dave O'Seacop himself, the man who broke the news last night about the potential structure of Liverpool's opening bid, which has seemingly come to fruition today. He has simply stated that Liverpool are looking to make a second bid that could be arriving as early as today for Alexander Isak for £140 million. And as we mentioned earlier, it has to be a case of as soon as possible. Has to be a case of as soon as possible with this situation. It's a bit of a reason that the season's 2 weeks away. The quicker we can get him through the door, the quicker we can hit the ground running, kind of thing. And like I say, it's big. This is big. If this is genuine, if this is legit, if this is going to happen, this could be big. So we could be in for a big weekend. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be here to cover it, which is annoying and painful if this actually does go ahead on the one time I'm not actually free and available to go live and talk about this kind of thing. Or I'll try and do something maybe when I'm away, but I don't know if it's going to be entirely possible. But at the same time, I'm excited. This could be it. This could be it. It's a better structure that will benefit Newcastle more. I don't know if this necessarily will be what gets the deal over the finish line or not, because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, it's not entirely on Liverpool. It's not entirely on Isak. It's more on Newcastle and how you know, how much they are prepared to go deep on this situation. Are they prepared to play hardball? Are they prepared to keep Isak? Are they prepared to even gamble on losing Isak and then hoping to get a striker afterwards? Or are they going to secure a striker first and then let him go? There's a fair few things that are going around, but it does seem as though Liverpool are not giving up. Their second bid is incoming for Alexander Isak, 140 million in total, with 80 million up front, 50 million to be paid next year, and 10 million in add-ons. Liverpool are trying to move fast on this as of right now. Get excited. Get excited, each and every single one of you Liverpool fans. I am confident that this move is going to go ahead by the end of this transfer window. We have a month to go, people, before the end of this transfer window. I'm prepared and confident to say that I think this move will go ahead, but it just depends on Newcastle. That is the big sticking point. Newcastle. Isak has 3 years left on his current deal. Newcastle can't seem to get a player over the finish line right now. They can't seem to bring a player into St. James's Park unless your name is Anthony Elanga or Aaron Ramsdale. They can't seem to get a striker for love nor money. But fingers crossed. And hopefully things start to move quickly on other deals for Newcastle. Fingers crossed they bring in a Benjamin Sesko, a Jean-Philippe Mateta, or even a Johan Visser. Fingers crossed that all goes ahead for Newcastle. And then fingers crossed it moves in Liverpool's favour there on afterwards. By the way, just followed you on that. Big up, bro. Thank you very much for that. I try and use X. I'm a bit sporadic with it. I try and use it. I mainly just use it to say when I'm live or when I've got a new video up or something. But I genuinely do appreciate it. I've got to start using things more. I'm so sporadic when it comes to these things. I'll use it for like a week, and then I'll stop it for like a month. And then I'll use it again for like a week, and I'll stop for a month. So I've got to try and use it. I've got to try and use it more. But I do appreciate you, man. I do appreciate you, and appreciate everybody that has joined us today. Like I say, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. I appreciate each and every single one of you for being here. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. I cannot honestly thank you enough. Will always be appreciated. Never, ever, ever, ever taken for granted. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream. And I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Take care of yourselves. Love you all. I will see you again very, very soon. Take care.